everyone. I'm back again. I'm Melissa Mitchell with ABO Creations, and this topic keeps coming up. We are talking about black women in the workplace and how we have had to battle being pushed out and what that looks like when you're pushed out. You're not pushed out, you're actually elevated to higher heights. And so I'll have some amazing women coming up talking about being unemployed, underpaid, and undervalued in the real state of being a black woman in the professional space. I'm going to have my good girl Enza come up. She's going to be our moderator for this panel. I'll have Ann Price, Courtney Sander, and Aaron White. So let's give it up to this amazing panel. They're going to drop some jewels about staying the course and being amazing. You're welcome, babe. See y'all later.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Essence Day 3, everybody. This topic is near and dear to my heart for a couple reasons. So number one, y'all can feel me being over or underemployed right now in my voice. This is my 8th panel in the last 2 days, so I've lost my voice, so bear with me. But I get to be on this wonderful stage with these wonderful women, and I will just say, we love us. That's what this stage represents, so I want to give each of you a moment to introduce yourselves once I introduce the topic. So we're going to be talking about the current state of black women's work. Unemployed, underpaid, undervalued. And what we see is that black women statistically are the most educated and the most entrepreneurial, but also the most impacted by unemployment right now. And we're gonna unpack why that is, but leave you with what we can do about it and what really matters. Take a minute, introduce yourselves, ladies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ann Price, and I'm co-founder and co-president of an organization called the Maven Collaborative. We focus on the hopes and dreams of black women in the economy.
Good afternoon. I'm Courtney Sanders, and I'm the Executive Director of National Jobs for All Network. There'll be some fact sheets passed out soon to you all. And we're housed at the New School in New York with the Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy.
Hey everybody, Aaron White. I am the founder and CEO of Hexagon Strategy Group. I help businesses between 2 to 10 million operationalize what I call kindness, making sure that they can scale and grow, and that they make sure that what they're presenting to the world is exactly what they are internally.
So I'm gonna start the first question for Ann and Courtney. When we talk about unemployment, underemployment, and wage inequality among black women, what's the most misunderstood or misrepresented, left out fact or part of information?
So Anna asked me to start, so I will. I think there are a few things, but I'll talk about 3. The first is black women are the highest when it comes to labor force participation. We're about 63% in the labor force, but we are the lowest paid in the labor force. The second thing is oftentimes, people say, oh, it's a good economy, it's a bad economy. They're looking at the unemployment rate, but we really should be looking at the underemployment rate, meaning that there are women in jobs that they have to have versus the jobs that they want to have, and they're having the pay that they, barely scraping by versus the pay that they really want. So in Louisiana, the minimum wage is still $7.25, right? Where there's legislation in Congress right now for a living wage where everyone could get $25 an hour for a minimum wage. And then the third thing I'll say is we have to stop talking about unemployment or the economy as it's not our economy. So I want to just say off the top that all of this is by happen, chance, and choice. Policymakers can make or break whether we're unemployed, underpaid, and undervalued. And so I think that is a part of the narrative that we need to really think about. The economy is not this natural force that we have no control over. We actually can participate, and there are policies out there to help us.
Yeah, I would say we don't often talk enough about care and how care dictates where we work, how long we work, and what we do. We don't look at the fact that a lot of our wages get spread across family members, communities, and so there's a huge ripple effect. When a black woman loses her job, there are people depending on that income, might not just be in their household, their parents, their siblings, right? So this has a big ripple effect on of all of our communities. So we have to look at that. We have to look at the fact that some black women are taking jobs now, once they've lost them, that are paying them much less than what the job they were in, sometimes going back to like their first job, what they got paid. So we've got to go beyond the numbers and think about the issue of care and how our incomes are spread across our community.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point that our incomes as black women affect so many other people, so many communities, so many other small businesses. And what I'm hearing is that it's not just a matter of education or ambition, it's a matter of the systems that are built around us and our understanding of those systems and participation in those systems that leads us to different outcomes. I got a follow-up question for Courtney. Let's get into the data a little bit. What does the data tell us about what's happening with the state of black women's work?
I mean, here's the point, right? We don't really need data. Raise your hand if you are doing better than you were last year. Not one hand, well, okay, a few hands went up, but most hands didn't go up, right? Because the data is showing that people are still struggling. People are still finding ways to pay their light bill and to put food on their table. So last year, Congress passed HR 1, or the big, beautiful bill. Y'all remember that? Well, what's happening when it comes to black women and unemployment and underpaid and being undervalued is there is data out there where the federal government is doing more than just passing legislation that affects us economically, but they were firing and targeting black women in the federal government. And we saw 300,000 black women being forced abruptly out of the labor market. And this year, we still see hundreds of thousands of black women not having the job that they started with in 2024. And so that's the data and the context that we're living in right now. But here's some other things, because oftentimes we don't talk about older people and how they're aging with dignity and respect. 11,000 people will turn 65 every day. 11,000 people. And yet we do not have the infrastructure in place to make sure they age with dignity and respect. So not only are the young folks working and being underpaid, but our grandmas and aunties are going back to the jobs that are low wage and minimum wage just to put food on their table, and that's not right.
It is, and what we're saying is being employed enough is not the same thing as being financially stable. It's not the same thing as being supported and wealthy and being able to build beyond the one meal that you can afford to get today. So a follow-up question for Erin. This is a little bit into your background. I know Erin personally, so this is our living room. We just gonna talk like we know each other. Okay. So coming from corporate America to entrepreneurship, you spent years inside major corporations before building your own. What pushed you to make this leap? What did you learn about work, value, and opportunity on this side?
So what pushed me to make the leap was I was forced, like many of us are. I was in a wonderful corporation, that Coca-Cola, that I learned a lot. However, I was with a European bottler, and so they decided to move to Europe. No fault of mine, nothing. But I decided in 2016 to start my own business because it was necessary. I had to function. And so I took a teeny bit of my severance money and did that. What I've learned on this side is that a lot of times how you moved in corporate is not necessarily how you move in entrepreneurship. So I had a steep learning curve, but I had a lot of help. I have great friends as well that were doing it before me and speaking life into me. What I also learned is that it's not a zero-sum game. I don't have to either be an entrepreneur or work in corporate. And I would say, keep your job, okay, if you have it. And I think everybody can be an entrepreneur. That's not a widely held belief, but you can be. If you have a side hustle, if you have something, but never depend on one thing, especially what Courtney and Ann has told us, everybody needs to start something. And so I would say start there.
I think that's a perfect segue. So the next question is about, please clap it up for that. And so she didn't say it, but we're friends for real in life. At home, I had to leave too, getting forced out. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. So in 2018, I was forced out of my role. 2019, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. It was actually my first Essence Fest. I was invited by some of the people that work here, and they were like, you gotta get here. And now here we are, 7 years later, and I'm the CFO and CCO of the New Voices Fund that is putting on these information. So I still have my own accounting firm, and I'm still running that firm as well. So this is my lived experience. So as we reimagine work, what does it look like now to kind of weave in these non-traditional streams of income with the traditional streams of income? What are some examples of things we can do that we can offer to the audience of practical ways, practical new streams, and ways to integrate it into our lives? It's for anybody.
So I would say right now, I think we are saying we're in the worst kind of economy, but we're also in the best. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of information out there that you can learn. I would say build your skill sets. Whatever skill sets you are lacking, even if you've been laid off, this as an opportunity to grow. And then take something that's your passion. Take courses. When you look at SBA or some free courses, learn how to build from a strong foundation. INSA is probably the most well put together person I know as far as entrepreneurship. Get it right and start slow. The other thing I'll tell you is that you have time. Right now, we feel like we're in a rush because everything is swirling about us. But you have time. Do not be deceived. Don't try to rush into anything. Take your time, learn, make connections. All of these vendors that are around us are entrepreneurs. Talk to them. Buy a little something from them. And then that's what I would say. I would also say that you have an opportunity, if you cook, make a plate. And I know it sounds simple, but if you design something for somebody. I live in Atlanta. There's an organization called the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. They welcome people. I have 2 people here in the audience, but they welcome people. Get in these incubators. Help yourself. Take the time. You can do it. And then talk to everybody that's here and see how you can make it relevant for yourself.
I just want to say that I also think it's important to say the onus is not on us alone. It's our government. And if it's structural and institutional issues that are happening, that it puts us in positions that makes us vulnerable, then we also need to start to think about, okay, yeah, all the things you said were important, and there's some other things that could happen to make our lives better. We should be picking ourselves, and we should be having safety and freedom in our everyday lives without the worry of having to pick up that extra job or having to make that plate. That should be a bonus. That should be like, oh, you know what, girl? I do know how to cook well. Let me go ahead and make this extra little money on the side. It shouldn't be the necessity to our work. It's not our ownership. We pay too much in taxes. We give too much time in voting and civic engagement. We invest in our communities too much for us to say all the onus is on us.
Yeah, I would just add that we have to think about ourselves as a community and start breaking down some of these fear barriers, right? A lot of times, even without knowing it, we're operating from fear, whether that's within your employment, within your entrepreneurship, within your personal life. You're operating from fear. We're operating from trauma that is hereditary, right? It's been passed down to me. I don't even understand why I feel that way, but my mother felt that way. So we've got to get past that. And one of my fears was, as a service provider, getting into products. I would tell people, if there's a product that you can produce it. I have a book I wrote, 7 years ago? I'm not even saying the name because that's not the point. It still gets sold randomly on Amazon or some Barnes & Noble site. I randomly wake up and there's money in a bank account. That happened 7 years ago. I haven't thought about that. I produced a card game with friends. It's randomly selling on a website. I don't know anything about it anymore. It's just money. So you want to start creating ways to have mailbox money. Money that is just showing up to you. You don't have to touch it anymore. Find something that does that for you, even if it's an app that you create with a bot or an agent. Do something that you can just get money from that you don't have to keep touching. And that builds money for later.
Do you mind if I say, you touched on something really quickly. In corporate and in other jobs, they will make you think that you cannot do something, that fear. They will beat creativity out of you. They will beat innovation out of you. They will put fear inside of you. I saw a video recently that says, imposter syndrome does not belong to us, and it does not belong to us. And I would say the first thing you have to do is work out your fear, know who is also responsible, and know what you can do so you can start moving forward.
You know what, we do need ecosystems of support. We need people around us that can encourage us, that can be there for us through our highs and our lows, and who will be there when we take risks, because we have to take these risks right now. That risk could be the greatest reward. I would say don't rely necessarily on what you've been doing for 20 years, right? They want you to think, right, you don't have other skills, other talents. I say go inward and start to ask yourself, what have I always dreamt about? What have I been passionate about? What do I feel that has been pushed down for so long that I don't even know myself anymore? Because that's what a lot of these jobs will do for you, make you believe that you only have one skill set. So really going inward is really important, but also having people around you that can lift you up, but also you can vet ideas with, that you can experiment with. That will make a big difference.
Yeah. So one of my next questions is about practical advice. And I'm going to give my tidbit, which essentially bridges what you three just said. I look at my practical advice as making sure you have the right ecosystem around you at all times. And to your point, Courtney, I don't necessarily mean that the ecosystem has to look like us. You can rely on people outside of our direct communities to help you. There are people there. But the 4 people that I always want to have in my direct community are a mentor and a sponsor, a mirror and a cheerleader. Anybody know the difference between a mentor and sponsor? Raise your hand. Okay, so mentors are the people who can give you specific advice about the thing you do. As an accountant, I want an accountant or someone similar who is further ahead or doing more things. A sponsor is someone who's going to speak up for me, who is going to put me in rooms. They don't have to do what I do. As a matter of fact, I don't want them to. I want them to be the CEO. I want them to be technology. And they're going to say, hey, tech team, you need that accountant over there to help you get through this. A mirror is your honest person who's always going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. And a cheerleader is the person who's going to lift you up no matter what. So mirror and cheerleader go together, because you don't need that truth teller without the cheerleader. You'll be demoralized. So I'm going to ask the last 2 questions, give everybody a chance to answer. The first of which is, what is one piece of practical advice that we can leave the audience with as they make this transition mentally, economically, or through from entrepreneurship to employment or vice versa?
I'll just say one simple thing. We have to move past exhaustion. We're exhausted, right? And you can't dream if you're that tired. It's okay for us to rest. It's okay for us to take time for ourselves, because we're always pouring out. And until we pour in, we might not be able to find those things. We can't think clearly. So I would say pour into yourself.
I think one practical advice is understanding you're not delusional. I have served at the pleasure of the president and vice president in the Biden-Harris administration. And I also was laid off, right? I was also put in a position because I did DEI work, even though I have multiple degrees, even though I'm in economic policy that's supposed to be race neutral, right? Gender neutral, and still pushed out of the labor market. And I felt delusional. I felt like, what is it that I'm not doing? So my practical advice to you is really for you to understand, you're not delusional. It is systemic, it is structural, and it is on purpose the way that we are unemployed, underpaid, and undervalued as Black women.
I wanted to let that clap sit there. You deserve that. So I'll tie in what all of them said. Please, please, please have a bias for action. Do not overplan. The people that get money for businesses and they are not smarter than you. You take action. Don't overthink, don't overplan. Exhaustion can cause you to do that. People making you think you're crazy can cause you to do that. And I would even say the other mirror is yourself. Do the mirror work in front of a mirror. My mother made me do that growing up when I had low self-esteem. Talk to yourself and tell yourself that you can do this, and then move. Stop waiting.
I'm going to leave with one last question. Tell me something in the new way that we're working, in this new ecosystem we're building, one thing that gives you hope. We'll start with Courtney as they pass out Courtney's materials.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, y'all are getting the work. What gives me hope? You know, I'm 3 generations from slavery, and we just celebrated 250-year anniversary of America, right? The independence of America. What gives me hope is I see all of you, and I know that my grandmother's prayers were not in vain, and that this too shall pass.
We are the backbone of our nation's economy. We are the canaries in the coal mine. We are the blueprint for the future. And we have to believe that it is a truth. And so I think what gives me hope is that we will find our way out of this, and it will create something beautiful for our communities and for our nation. I know that we will do it.
What gives me hope, and I see it every day, I'm seeing it here, I see it when I hang out with my friends in Atlanta, is that Black people, we never let go of our joy. We never let go of our joy. We may be upset. We're going to cut up. We're going to have a good time. We're going to learn. We're going to grow. We're going to hang with friends that we've known forever. We're going to do it in spite of. And more than ever, people show their joys at the polls. And I've been seeing that too. And so remember to show your joy at the polls as well.
I'll close us out. What gives me hope? This is year 7 for me. So this room gives me hope. Seeing you all at this stage gives me hope because we are going to sit together and talk about it. We're going to get these topics. We're going to just demystify any information we don't know. We're going to hold each other up. But more than anything, I like seeing the 10-year booth, the 15-year booth, and the 1 year I just started a few months ago booth next to each other. I like seeing that. I like seeing the long lines that it takes to get in here. I hate that y'all was in the heat. I'm sorry. But the line to get in here says something about how we love each other. And that we would stand in that line. If I would stand in line to do anything else, I would stand in line to support you. And that's what you're demonstrating. So that gives us hope. I want to make sure that you have a wonderful day. I think I'll be right back here in a few minutes, so don't go away. But we love us. This is the stage that we show love to you by giving you information. We want you to interact with us. Please interact with the New Voices booth and let us know what we can provide for you next year using the QR code so that we can make sure we love on you in the ways that matter the most. Thank you so much.